scars of Robert Land Academy, once labeled the toughest school in North America. Written and narrated by Peter J. Merrick. This is my testimony. We all carry scars from our youth. Robert Land Academy was a private school that sold itself as a boarding school based on a military theme. Behind the brochures and the promises, it was something else entirely. It was not really a school. It was Lord of the Flies made real. William Golding's 1954 novel about boys abandoned on an island without protection showed how quickly children could descend into cruelty and violence. At Robert Land, that descent was not fiction. It was daily life. It was the embodiment of Golding's warning, carried out on boys as young as 10 by staff members. We were boys when our parents sent us away, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and even 17 years old, still minors. For me, it began in 1980 when I was 11. Robert Land had opened in the fall of 1978, and my parents placed me there in its third year of operation. They said it was because I had been labeled learning disabled. More technically, I was labeled dyslexic, which meant I would not read and write until 6th grade. That label gave them the reason they needed. Instead of support, I was cast out. What awaited me was not education, it was punishment. Punishment that went beyond discipline, punishment that was inhumane. We were forced to run until we collapsed. We were made to stand at attention in freezing rain. We were left outside without coats in the middle of winter. We were ordered to scrub floors until our knees bled. We were denied food and sent to bed hungry. We were dragged out of sleep in the middle of the night to march in the dark. We were humiliated in front of our peers. We were beaten down until we cried, then mocked for our tears. We were hit across our backsides with a cricket bat. We were struck with a canoe paddle until the flesh of our asses bled. We were treated as prisoners in a place that paraded itself as a school. This was my daily reality at 11 years old. While boys my age in society were going to dances, riding their bikes, playing hockey, and sitting down to warm dinners with their families, I was living in a jail that wore the costume of education. That was the year I lost my family. The label of being dyslexic was used against me to prove I was defective and to justify sending me away. I was left to fend for myself, and I learned not to trust or rely on anyone. My parents became conspirators with the institution in the perpetration of my suffering. When I tried to speak about what happened, they silenced me. They told me it was good for me. They reminded me of the financial sacrifices they had made to put me there. Their words erased me. The memories remained sharp. The cold mornings, the muffled cries of boys at night, the punishments that had no end, and the label that followed me everywhere like a shadow. I was told I was learning disabled, but what I truly learned was that my truth did not matter to the people who I wanted to believe it should matter, but it didn't. When I came home in 1984, I believed I was free. I thought emancipation meant I could begin again. Instead, it was another form of exile. My sisters were away, and it was just me and my parents. They spoke of groceries and the weather as if nothing had happened. Yet across the table sat the same people who had delivered me into torment. I felt no warmth, no safety, only the fear that I could be sent back to hell. I later discovered almost all of my Robert Land brothers carried the same story. Boys who left believed they were free, only to return home as foreigners in their own families. The homes were the same, but we no longer belonged. We had no recognition and no community. Unlike veterans of war, there were no support groups, no counselors, no one to tell us what had been done to us was wrong. Many drowned the wound in self-destruction. Too many died young. 36 became the age when the weight was too much for many to carry, and hundreds of us took their own lives through substance abuse, hard living, and suicide. From the outside, my life looked different. I built a professional career. I achieved things that looked like success. People praised me for my accomplishments. I smiled, yet inside I thought of that 11-year-old boy. The man they admired carried the mask. The boy inside remained broken. My pain and isolation also gave me a strange gift. I feel the pain of others more than most. My wounds became the doorway to empathy. I can sit with another's suffering because I know suffering. Yet for years I withheld that same compassion for myself. I was the last one to give that little boy of 11 the empathy he deserved. Over more than 40 years, I searched unconsciously for understanding. I found it slowly in words that explained not just psychology, but my own life. Cognitive dissonance explained my parents. They saw themselves as good, yet they sent me to a place that abused me. To quiet the conflict in their minds, they told themselves it was good for me. The sunk cost fallacy gave another layer of meaning. My parents had paid thousands of dollars, endured separation, and told others why I had been sent away. To admit it was a mistake would mean admitting that their sacrifices were wasted. Effort justification described the twisted logic my parents and other so-called adults used. They told themselves my suffering made me stronger. My bruises and tears became their proof of progress. Identification with the aggressor showed me how even parents can take on the voice of the abuser. Weakness was sin. Cruelty was medicine. Maladaptive social reintegration named the feeling of coming home in 1984 and realizing I no longer fit. My supposed freedom was another kind of isolation. Social invalidation explained the silence I carried. Every time I tried to tell the truth, I was denied. My pain was dismissed as exaggeration or repackaged as character building. Maladaptive coping described the roads many of my brothers took, the addictions, the reckless choices, the lives that ended too young. In my last year of high school, I read Lord of the Flies. Written by William Golding and published in 1954, it told the story of boys abandoned on an island who descend into cruelty. As I read, I saw Robert Land Academy on the page. I saw myself. What Golding wrote as fiction, I had lived as reality. The book confirmed what I already knew, that Robert Land Academy was a mirror of Golding's island and that cruelty had been our daily order. The Academy finally closed in June 2025 after 47 years. Its gates shut for the last time, but not before generations of boys had already been scarred. Relief came with its ending, but sorrow as well. Relief that no more boys would be locked away under false pretenses. Sorrow that the closing came decades too late, and even now I still feel it. The sting of frost biting into my skin as I stood outside without gloves. The ache of hunger hollowing my stomach when meals were taken away. The taste of metal in my mouth after running until I fell into the snow. The scrape of raw flesh on my knees from scrubbing floors until they bled. The crack of boots in the hallway waking us to march in darkness. The sting of a cricket bat across my backside, fire blooming under the skin, the blows of a canoe paddle on my ass until blood stained my shorts, the sound of laughter when boys and men mocked me for crying, the weight of being treated as less than human in a place that called itself a school. I still feel it, and I cannot forget. The school is closed, but the scars remain. The scars are the label that marked me defective. They are the punishments that boys my age in normal life never had to endure. They are the silence of parents who told me it was good for me. They are the betrayal of being placed in a jail that wore the costume of a school. They are the false promise of freedom that became exile. They are the brokenness beneath professional success. They are also the empathy I now carry and the long road it took to finally give that compassion to the boy I once was. The school is closed, but the scars remain. You were not weak. You were not wrong. You were never defective. You deserved love, not punishment. You deserved safety, not exile. I see you now. I will not remain silent for the injustice done to you or to others like you. I will not be silent. I will not allow their voices to be silenced. That is my promise to you, and I know exactly who I am speaking to. I am speaking to you, the boy of 11 that had no voice. I am speaking to me, Peter J. Merrick, Robert Land Academy cadet, September 1980 to June 1984, survivor of 1,386 days of living through literal hell.